Hello everyone. Today our group going to interview one of the most prominent person in journalism industry, which is Mr.KrishnaMoorthy, ex-chief reporter of the Star. How do you got involved in this line of career?
I had an interest in writing. Because of my interest in writing English, I got a very good grade in Form 5, and that inspired me to write articles for newspaper on a freelance basis. Then I started writing articles on a freelance basis for newspapers. Got some money, the extra income was very helpful. At the same time, I was working in Tenaga National after my Form 6. I worked there for 10 years, saved my money, went to America, went to the cooperative and took out 15,000 after 10 years, 69 to 79 I worked. So end of 79 I went into September, took out my money and went to the States, University of Tennessee in Knoxville to study. So I got involved in it by interest. I was excited by writing. I read a lot of newspapers, I liked reading. So that's why I got into journalism.
In which desk are you attached now?
And now I work with 10 overseas television stations. I freelance for them as their local producer. The stations are like CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, Channel 7, Channel 7, 9, 10 and SBS from Australia, these 4 channels. And then I freelance for 2 German channels, ARD and ZDF. And I also work with some Thai TV from Thailand. It's like an SBS from Thailand and Danish TV. Occasionally, a lot of other networks seek my help. So what I basically do is I like their local producer, they call it fixer, where I arrange the appointments, do some research on the subject, logistics, transport, hotel, arrange those things, and at the same time write some things, contribute in the form of research to them. Also freelance for Time magazine.
Can you share with us your first experience in collecting news as a reporter?
Okay, my first experience in collecting news as a reporter was when I returned to the New Straits Times. It was tough. I was shy, and I was, in fact, before that I was also a reporter in the university's newspaper. But with years of experience and practice, I grew out of the shyness. To be a journalist, you must not be shy. And I learned that in the United States. You must be able to get out there and say, put your right hand out and say, I am Krishna, introduce yourself, smile, and break the ice. And it's tough, but you all get a chance to. The more you practice, the more confidence you have, the better you'll be as a journalist.
What is your opinion towards Malaysia's journalism, ethics and practices, as well as the media freedom in Malaysia?
Right. The ethics, I have, in fact, at the end of my book, a book on ethics. I have a chapter on ethics of journalism, canons of journalism, and this spells out a lot of things, like you shouldn't lie, you shouldn't plagiarize, you should tell the truth. The search for the truth is the job of a journalist. At the same time, use my profession to help people, serve people. Right? When I went around as a blind man, it was actually to help the blind man speak his thoughts. So I experienced the life of a blind man with other reporters following me. So they all wrote the feelings of a blind man, the problems he went through and all that. Because blind men were being robbed and accidents, cars were knocking them down and all that.
Politics play a role in writing as well as publishing in Malaysia?
So, reporting on politics is one form of journalism. Politics in Malaysia influences the newspaper. That is, the mainstream newspapers like the Star, the Straits Times, Berita Harian, Utusan, these are mainstream papers. And they are all subjected to controls and guidelines and ISA and Printing and Pressing Publications Act. Now, when they are subject to these acts, so many acts, in fact, the journalist is subject to 22 acts, the list of acts governing journalists are so many, 22 or 22. There's so many 22 acts there. And the acts acts as a hindrance, an obstacle for people, for journalists to write, because the search for truth cannot be exposed. And newspapers, the mainstream newspapers especially, are controlled through these acts and guidelines and restrictions. So therefore politics, the Barisan government which is in power, uses these acts and restrictions and regulations to control the media. So the freedom of expression, the freedom of writing, the freedom to speak is curtailed or cut by these acts and restrictions. So politics plays a part in Malaysia. But once these acts, as Prime Minister Najib Tun Razak is saying, is taken away, then there will be freedom of press and people can go on searching for the truth. And when you restrict the truth and freedom of expression and speech, the society cannot grow. That means, you become autocratic, you tend to believe in what you are doing is right, and you don't accept the views of other people. So like people like Malaysia Kini, websites like Malaysia Kini, Malaysian Insider, Free Malaysia Today, I write for Malaysia Kini, freelance for them, gives the other side of the view. Because the internet is not censored. So it gives us, so there's freedom there. So the politics of the opposition dominates there because they express themselves freely.
Have you ever published articles that are incomplete and cannot be published since it's against the law? And how do you feel about it?
I've written some articles while I was working with the mainstream papers, and the articles could not be published because they were a bit sensitive or spoke the truth, and it was not in the interest of publishing it because it will hurt the government in power. So some of these articles never got published, and sometimes, so we, as a journalist, I feel frustrated when the article is not published because we put in a lot of effort and it's not published. Otherwise, most of my articles, 95% or 98% of my articles have been published. That's the 2%. In fact, even in when I proposed an article just before Anwar was acquitted, I proposed an article, January 9th was the verdict, and I proposed the article on January 5th or 6th. And the editor of Malaysia Kini said, "Are you crazy to say that Anwar will be acquitted? You must be daydreaming or wishful thinking." I said, "Thank you very much. That is my intro. Daydreaming or wishful thinking. Anwar will be acquitted." And on January 7th, Malaysia Kini published that article. Wow. And January 9th, he was acquitted. I was the only journalist who said that. And likelihood of acquittal.
What is your opinion towards the growth of alternative media in Malaysia?
The growth of alternative media is a very significant milestone in the field of journalism in Malaysia, because alternative media has allowed people to say alternative views. That means not pro-government views, but to express opposition views. And with the internet not being censored, alternative media has grown tremendously. Dramatic growth in the number of news websites, dramatic growth in the number of bloggers, dramatic growth in the number of expression, freedom of speech. It's all coming out in the alternate media. And with the alternate media is the growth of the social media. Now you can tweet about the latest news. You can Facebook about news. And YouTube is so widespread. You can do anything and put up on YouTube. So the only danger is it must not sensationalize and must not tell lies. It must pursue the truth. Be level-headed, be fair in your reporting, don't be biased, be objective, don't be emotional. It's a great profession. You are helping the community understand issues, problems, difficulties, challenges of society. It is a great profession. Treat it with respect. Don't take sides.
Thank you for your cooperation for today, sir. Thank you again for your willingness to be interviewed.
Thank you for coming so far. Sintok Kapit Kedah.